we've discussed, in several entries of this project, Sega's propensity as a company for their hearts to get ahead of their brains. Masters of conjuring up innovative concepts that prove too difficult to implement or manifest when it comes to actually producing them. Almost surely the most infamous among all of their ideas was online gameplay, a notion they very rightly saw as the future of video gaming, but set out loudly and excitedly promoting it as a feature long before they had any idea how it would work or what software would be able to utilize it. From the jump, the modem allowing internet connectivity was a key point in the advertising for the Dreamcast console. So apparently important that they had it packaged in box with the machine itself, promoting its revolutionary aims. The modem ran on 56K, but provided an option for broadband for that burgeoning market. Sega screamed this innovation from the heavens. It was a key part of a huge part of their marketing campaigns in the lead-up to the release of the system, and was yet another thing making the system feel like the future. The problem is that once again, their body acted before their head had a chance to catch up. The issue with pushing boundaries and doing things for the future is sometimes you don't catch up to the future by the time the present arrives. The present was launch day, September 9th, 1999. The problem with the much ballyhooed modem packaged in on launch day with the Dreamcast was that none of their launch games really used it. Sonic Adventure utilized it a little bit, mostly to be able to load scores onto an online leaderboard. But scores for an online leaderboard was not really what Sega was advertising.
Just think, you'll be able to play the same game at the same time against people from across the whole of Europe, each in your own home.
And by the end of 1999, the number of games that actually allowed you to connect to the internet and interact with other people or things was 0. Other than a clunky web browser, which was neat, but even clunkier than similar novelties like Web TV. By early 2000, Sega was developing a new internal internet service to replace their PC-only service, Heat.net. They were developing a resource called SegaNet to install a framework for their games to be able to play online. But by the time the second web browser was released, the service wasn't quite yet available. It would launch in September of 2000, and eventually find some games to connect. Games we will delve into in the future. But that's nearly an entire year after the console launched. For a system that ended regular production in late 2001, you can see the issue here regarding its legacy. But this is not, at least not technically, a video about a back-to-front history of the Dreamcast modem and its implementation. This is a video about a simple puzzle game called Sega Swirl. When I first scanned and collected the comprehensive list of Dreamcast releases, there were a handful of maybes. Virtual Gaming Library, an invaluable YouTube resource, included in their master list a handful of real basic, low-budget puzzle games released in 2005, which I decided not to count. That's so long after the system collapsed that it counts as a retro experience. But there was one, smack dab in the middle of the list, that didn't have a box art, didn't have a disc trumpeting its name, but I decided to keep in as an excuse to be able to discuss the early failures of the modem. I expected this video to be 95% discussion of the foibles and features of the Dreamcast modem and its various online capabilities, and then maybe a little gesture towards the throw-in little puzzle game included in the package. But once I obtained the proper Web Browser 2.0 disc, you'll be shocked to know, but they didn't have a bunch of these handy at the game store, loaded it up, and started doing research, I found that by early 2000, there wasn't really much movement on the modem front. The story was, they f***ed up again and didn't do shit with a thing that sounded cool. At least not yet. Cut. Print. But once I fought through all the insistent SegaNet setup and queued up the little puzzle game, I found out something astonishing. Sega Swirl f***ing rules. Let me tell you that I played this assumed trifle of a game for hours. Hours! I said back on the Wetrix Plus episode that the closer one hews a puzzle game towards Tetris with a twist, the better their chances of success tend to be. Well, Sega Swirl is definitely that. It is, like many a successful puzzle game, a tile-matching game, with the twist being that you start with the entire board full, and your job is to find the most lucrative pairings of the same color to eliminate. Trying to clear the screen as quickly as possible, while not leaving any orphan tiles, which dock you 100 points if you want to delete one individually. Figuring out which pairings are worth cashing in on immediately, and which ones would make richer groupings down the line. It's hard to sort of envision where the chips will fall, where each decision you make would have an effect. In recent months, I got everything hooked up so I could record myself playing every game, even on original hardware, to give myself a breadth of footage to pick from. Well, in this case, I can use it to illustrate a point. I didn't always record myself, especially after a certain point where I stopped because all of the footage looks visually exactly the same. But adding up my files here, it looks like I have over 8 full hours of footage on Sega Swirl. I didn't need that. You see what it looks like. I'm not delving into the best strategies to beat the game, and I knew I wasn't going to do that going in. This is not that kind of channel. But unlike most of the games I've done for this program, I could delve into a lengthy tips and tricks segment, because I played it that often. Hell, writing this review made me want to fire it up again. I played it today, both the day I wrote this and the day I'm recording it. It has somehow become one of the most cherished pieces in my collection, and one of the only ones that I didn't go exchange for other Dreamcast games at the store the moment I got enough footage. Sega Swirl was simple enough that it was available as a free PC release at the time, and even came out as a release for the Palm Pilot. But only this official Dreamcast version has my little snake friend over here, and his support was crucial to my success. I went all over. I played nerve-wracking timed versions and made strategic plans in untimed level-up modes. I played solo and with friends. I was inviting friends over, specifically just to come play this f***ing little pack-in bonus game. At one point, I accidentally recorded my own mic audio while playing it, and the playback was a series of me yelling things like, "Oh, hell yeah, there it is! Yeah, oh, okay, yeah!" over and over. The history of addicting little pack-in games is a surprisingly accomplished one. From Minesweeper on Windows 95, to Space Cadet 3D Pinball on Windows XP, to the Playroom on PlayStation 4. And Sega Swirl was so simple, yet so deep, and so ridiculously fun, that I feel like a kitten who threw the toy out to play with the box. And I couldn't be more thrilled. I think I'm gonna go play some Sega Swirl right now. Next time, hey, you kids want to play a golf game? No? Well, too bad.